All right, so terrible lighting in here and my scungy old ironing board, but I just wanted to show you what I'm doing with my layers. So that's my wallpaper fabric. I'm actually covering the whole canvas in that, so it's big. I've ironed that. I've ironed a piece of calico over the top, and then my wool blanket will sit just inside. Sorry about the shadow. Kitchen does not have good lighting at night. I'm going to use a bright thread and a large needle. This is like a smaller doll's needle. And I'm going to baste the 3 layers together. So I'll just get my needle threaded up and then I'll show you. So I've threaded up a fairly long piece of cotton, red, bright, so that I can see it and pull it out. And I'm going to do very large running stitches. I'll show you in a sec. So basting, I'm just doing really big stitches just through all 3 layers to hold it together, and I'm going to run them fairly wide apart. Okay, so that's basting. I'm going to do the whole piece. It saves me pinning it together and having a million pins that will poke into me as I'm working on it. Hello everyone, and welcome to our second week of volume 7. The first thing is, okay, you're seeing some drawings on this canvas. I had to switch to an even bigger canvas because I've already got my idea for our first prompt. And when I put it onto the canvas I was wanting to use, it took up, probably it would end up taking more than half the canvas. So it's too big. So I've graduated to a bigger canvas. Now this is an old canvas that my son drew on. I'm pretty sure he was drawing Middle Earth. I think this is the dragon from The Hobbit. But that's okay. He was meant to paint this when he was little. He never finished it. He just drew on it. So we've taken photos of it, which I can print. And I'm going to be covering his drawings. So I'm going to tell you what size it is. It's rectangular. It is 36 inches wide, or 90, just over 91 centimeters width, and the height is 30 centimeters or 30 inches or 76 centimeters. So did I say that right? 36 inches or just over 91 centimeters, and then 30 inches just, or about 76 centimeters in height. The other thing is, it is not a double thick frame. It has a, can you see? I don't know, I can't see the camera. It has a much narrower edge, like the normal size edge. So that is the canvas I am now using. And, sorry, shiny table here. I've taken away the mat so I had space. This is what I've been working on. So let's have a look at this. Now pins, so I've got to be careful. So I'll go through what I've done because I have done a bit of work off camera. You would have seen at the start of the video, I showed you me basting my layers together. And so I did that. I basted them all together using that red cotton, which I've now removed because I've invisible stitched all over this. So just to remind you, or to show you again, I had my top layer, which is the green sheet fabric, some calico and some wool, piece of the wool. And you can, I don't know if you can see those lines, but that's where I've done invisible stitch. So I've actually already done that. It took me about 3 to 4 hours to invisible stitch this whole thing together. My lines were not very straight and not evenly spaced, but you can't really tell. It gives it a bit of texture, but you can't really tell too much. So what I have done, I'm going to shift it all the way down. I've added in my tablecloth. So running along here, I'll just shift it over. It's hard to film this big. So I'm just going to have to keep moving it for the moment. And what I'll do next week, once I've got this whole background in place, I'll take a photo. I'm not going to do it today because it's night time and the photo will be dark. So just shifting it over. So down here, I've left an edge on both sides. I'm planning to square this part up onto the edge of my frame. So what I have done is I got a thread that was the color of the orange. So this one blended in nicely. And I have just done the invisible stitch along the outer edge and then on the inner edge of the orange. And that's all I've done so far. So what I thought I'd do today is I'm actually going to start from this end. So it's very hard maneuvering such a big piece, and it is actually already got some weight about it. So that's why I think it's good to have my 3 layers, because it will need to be strong when I attach it to my canvas. All right, so I've got my lovely mouse Dawn. Hi, Dawn. And my thread and some scissors. Okay, so I'm going to show you invisible stitch. It is actually pinned down, so hopefully it doesn't bubble too much. I got a little bit of, just a tiny bit of, I should have pulled that down just a little bit there, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so just normal white cotton for this now. I've done the orange, which blended in well. I got myself quite a long piece because I am lazy and don't like threading my needle too often, which, yes, occasionally that ends in tangles and I have to sort that out. I think this type of needle is just I think it's just like an embroidery needle, just with a fairly small eye, but one that's big enough that I can thread it easily. Quilter's knot, show you that for people that don't know. So you get the tail of your thread, probably can't see this too well with the background. You hold the tail down the shaft of the needle, wrap it around, hang on, do that again, wrap it around a few times, however many you want, and then you slide the wraps. Slide the wraps down the thread. Now I like to put a finger in there just to make sure that it doesn't tangle. Okay, so I just paused you for a sec so that I could zoom in a bit more. I'm hoping that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Just getting my needle. All right, so I was just about to tell you that there'll be things on the table. So this is the table and there'll be things on it. So I don't feel like I need to do the invisible stitches too close together. And they do take a while and it'll end up with a lot of stitching onto other things on top. So I'm going to do them approximately maybe about 1.5 inches apart. All right, so all I've done is brought my thread up just here from underneath. And then invisible stitch, you do a little tiny stitch on the top and then a long stitch underneath. So I've done a tiny stitch there and come forward almost 1 inch there. Okay, and you pull it through. And as I go, I will be able to start removing. So tiny stitch, pretty much as far forward as my needle will let me go, and then bring it forward. I'll remove my pins as I go, which I had pins all around the border and I remove them gradually. So this is exactly what I have done on the background green piece of fabric, which is meant to be my wallpaper. And around the edge of this, I kept those stitches quite close. They're about not even maybe 1 centimetre apart. Okay, so this is something that you can just mindlessly do in front of the TV. So what was I watching last night? Oh, I watched It's Complicated. That's a funny movie. I've seen it like a million times. But I watched that. And I got most of the stitching done watching the movie. I think, I got to get up in the morning and do about another hour just to finish off. So it does take a while. That's why we've given you 3 weeks. Because I'm on holidays, I was able to have some time doing this. And once I've stitched down my table, I'll talk to you in a minute about what I'm going to add to the background, which is what next week's video will need to show you for our 3rd week on our table and our background. And then I'm ready for prompt 1. I'm actually pretty much ready to go with that. I know what I'm doing. Things are cut out and ready to go. I think Rach should be pretty ready as well. She's already got her ideas too. And again, we're doing things slightly differently. Same prompt, just interpreting it the way we want. Okay, so that will be invisible stitch. I will keep doing rows. I'm going to do them from this side across just to keep flattening out that fabric, even though everything was ironed to begin with. Now, I'm going to zoom you back out and show you what I'm thinking. So you can see here, my tablecloth doesn't go right to the edge. This actually is tucked under. It's a bit wider. So I have left enough overhang there, about that much on each edge to wrap around the frame. But let me zoom you out again. Okay, make sure it's focused. Now down this side here, I'm going to add some coloured fabrics. And I've got this lovely old piece of Cantha scrap, which I want to use. So my plan is that I'm going to run some of the blue and the beige, then I'm going to cut a piece of pink. So if I'm just overlapping it to give you the idea. So if you can imagine, there's a pink strip that will be flat, and then at the top, I haven't decided yet. I'm tossing up between, I might even put the beige in the middle, but anyway, I'm tossing up between adding a strip of this or a strip of this. I quite like that flower. So it will be just an interesting side piece of decorative border. Now, it's got a few layers of fabric in there, so Cantha quilts. I've got a piece over here, let me see if I can show you. Cantha quilts are basically layers of different fabrics that they've stitched together with running stitch, which is really, this and the borrows are really the original form of slow stitching. So you can see we've got the yellow fabric, then we've got a green, then we've got, looks like a blue. And I actually love taking old bits of this, then some more green on the back. I love taking these apart just to see the bits of fabric and using them in things. I know, Corinne, you've done that when you did your pears. But on this one, let's focus you. Look at the gorgeous Cantha stitching. It's tiny. And I don't want to lose that. So I'm thinking I'm going to try and keep that stitching there and just do some invisible stitching to keep it down, or maybe some overcast stitch. But I'm going to think about that and show you that next week. Okay, so for this week's video, that's all you need to see is just how I've added my tablecloth, and I'm doing the invisible stitch to stitch it down because I don't want it standing out too much. Oh, the one thing I did want to say, across the top, there is some stains there, but just adds to the character if you ask me. I've actually folded that over and I will just whip stitch that down. I have whip stitched that there. Okay, so I'll be whip stitching with the white cotton the whole way along to hold that down, but I'm going to do that at the end. once everything's, I need to work from bottom upwards so that my tablecloth doesn't like pucker. I'm trying to stop it from puckering. Okay, does that make sense? So keep working on your backgrounds. We've seen some great backgrounds already. People coming up with different ideas, different piece backgrounds. You can already see that Rach and I are doing a different style, which is great. So you're getting some different options and ideas. I just have to say I love the orange and green and light blue combination in this tablecloth. But my whole piece is going to be super colourful, very, very bright. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week where I'll add the side borders, and then I'm ready for the first prompt the week after. So I'll see you soon. Bye.